How y'all feeling? So today's topic is coming from one of my subscribers. Somebody asked for this, so I'm bringing this video to you now. So go ahead and hit the like button, like the video, and if you want to see another topic, just put that down below in the comment section and we're going to try our best to bring that to you this week. Now, the subscriber asked me specifically, what is the racial situation here in Spain, and specifically, what is it like for a black man here in Spain? Now, this is a very big topic. Spain is a very diverse country. Every area you go to in the country has a little bit different. They've got a different history and even different language depending on if you're in the northwest in Galicia where they speak Galician, or if you're in the southeast where they speak Catalan and Valenciano, and if you're in the northeast where they speak Basque. So this question is not going to be all-encompassing for the whole country, but I'm going to give you my take on it, all right? So you can tell me what you think. And I'm going to break this down into 3 different videos, probably because to do this justice, you really have to break this down. So off the top, I'm going to talk about the difference between how the cops interact with you in Spain, the police, versus how the police interact with you in the United States. So I would say in the United States, on average, you're going to be dealing with a very uncomfortable situation if you're a young black man and you're dealing with the police. And that's all across the country. You know, I've been to the South, I've been in the West Coast, I've been in the East Coast, I've been in, in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the country, Midwest, all of that, everything. So, I've observed that it's more or less the same. With few exceptions. If you're in the suburbs or something like that in America, it could be a little bit of a more laid back situation, friendly exchange, a little bit more respect off the gate. But in general, the relationship is going to be very uncomfortable. It's going to be very unequal. And generally, the police are going to look at you as a young black man suspiciously, even if, you've got the cleanest record, you haven't done anything. They're going to look at you as a possible criminal, straight off the gate. They pull you over, when they ask for your driver's license and everything, you really don't expect them to be polite or treat you with the same kind of courtesy they would treat like a white American dude. This is general throughout the country. Now, getting back to that, to compare this with Spain, I would say that most of the time when you pass a police officer, they're not scrutinizing you in the same kind of way that they would in the States. So even though there's not a very large black population and we stand out immediately when they see a black person, nobody's carrying a gun who's a police officer or military or some other kind of Spanish government law enforcement. When they see a black person, they're not immediately looking at you as a criminal. And you notice that immediately. So many times I could walk down the street in different cities throughout Spain, primarily in southern Spain, but also in cities like Madrid, the capital. And I feel like I don't get any extra attention for being a black man. Now, when I'm in New York City and I'm walking around, or if I'm in Baltimore, if I'm in Washington, D.C., if I'm in Philadelphia, just walking past a police officer as a young black man, there's attention. I feel like I'm getting extra attention that's unwarranted because I'm not doing anything. I'm living my life, I'm just chilling, you know what I'm saying? But just my skin color is going to get me a lot of negative attention in the States versus here. Here, I feel like they don't care. I mean, I'm just another person walking by. I'm another citizen of the country, or I'm a tourist. So I'm starting off already on more or less an equal playing field in their eyes. I'm not automatically seen as a criminal. So this is obviously a positive, when you're used to the American mentality that, oh shit, here comes a police officer. I got to make sure I don't look like I'm reaching for nothing. I could be, pulling out my cell phone. But if I'm on the streets of DC, if I'm on the streets of Chicago, I'm going to be very cautious, even reaching for the cell phone. And I'm talking about in downtown. I'm talking about in broad daylight. I'm still going to be very cautious reaching for my cell phone, just to send a text or something if I notice there's an officer nearby me. Now, when I'm in Madrid, when I'm in Sevilla, when I'm in Valencia, that doesn't even cross my mind because that tension doesn't exist. I'm not being looked at immediately, out of the corner of the eye of the officers in the Spanish cities. So this is a big difference. I would say I feel freer, I feel like I'm just any other citizen, which is an amazing feeling. And I can't even lie and say I feel that way in the States because I generally don't. I mean, you have some exceptions, some areas, like I said, some suburbs are a little more chill, a little more sleepy, but overall there's that tension when you see a police officer, especially if, you're walking by, he's walking by, and you're within arm's length. Now here, I've had interactions with the police in Spain, and I would say 100% of those interactions have been positive. Whether it was me asking for directions, whether it was me needing to get some paperwork filled out, or dealing with the customs agents when I'm coming into Spain, into the country, they're usually very professional, and they usually have more or less a pleasant demeanor. Sometimes they're even, friendly. Like I've had police officers tell jokes like an equal in Spain. Now in the States, I would say if we said 100% positive interactions with police, in Spain, I would say in America, man, what would the percentage be? It would be like 80% negative and 20% positive. Now, I'm not trying to shit on all the officers in America who do their job and they treat everyone equal. That's why I got to talk about that 20%. There's that 20% of officers who, very professional, treat everybody the same, and that's the way it should be. But then there's that 80% who, they're going to make you feel like a second-class citizen. I mean, that's the best way that I could describe it. Whether you did something wrong, whether you didn't do something wrong, they're looking at you kind of through that same lens of, you're the problem until proven otherwise. But, first thing I'm thinking is, black guy, young black guy, you did something wrong. All right, let me find out what it is. I've had incidents in the States where, I was stopped by an officer and hadn't done anything wrong, but I feel like they were trying to justify the stop. So they went through everything. They said, did you do this? This. They went through all the checks to try to pin me with something when I hadn't done anything. I had witnesses around, nothing was wrong whatsoever. So I'm not saying that those type of police officers who have stereotypes that are racist don't exist in Spain. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I haven't ran into those type of officers. Now, I will say, as far as, walking down the street and having issues with a police officer, is stop and frisk or stop and identify. So this is something that happens a lot, and it used to happen a lot more in New York City under the old mayor that they had. Who was it? It was Bloomberg. Yeah, Bloomberg. Under Bloomberg, they were stopping and frisking just random minorities, black, Hispanic guys, for doing nothing, just being in their own neighborhood. They'd be like, stop, let me, pat you down, see if you got weapons, show me your ID, harass you. And they hadn't done anything wrong except, breathing and being black or brown. Now in Spain, I've heard some reports that this happens and they do profile. Maybe not as much stop and frisk, but stop and identify, show me your ID for no reason. And this primarily happens in Madrid. This is what I've heard. I've read some stories and I've heard different anecdotes about this. But when I was in Madrid, I didn't have this type of a situation whatsoever. But, I haven't lived in Madrid for years and years, so I'm not discounting that experience. And especially for some of the people who come directly from Africa to Spain, maybe they get profiled a little bit more because they're checking for, migrant status, if you have papers, this kind of a thing. So I'm sure that there are issues that exist in Spain being a young black male, but I would say compared to the issues that we have in the States with the police, doing their job and specifically singling out black people, not all of them, but a decent percentage of them. I don't think that really exists in Spain. Unarmed black men being shot. If this was a story in Spain where, some black guy got shot in Madrid or something, I think this would blow up. This would be the story of the year in Spain. Where in America, it's the story of the week. It's the story of, the next 4 days or something like that. I understand that the countries are very different, and in America we have the right to bear arms sometimes, and in Spain that doesn't exist at all. So going into the interaction, the officer doesn't have to even really consider that you have a weapon or a gun in Spain versus in the States. I get that, but come on, that doesn't explain everything that's going around in the news in the States, where people are just getting shot left and right, shot in the back, shot in their home playing video games. This kind of shit is unacceptable. So this is one thing you don't have to worry about if you're in Spain. And Europe in general is a lot of these unarmed deaths of young black men. This really just doesn't exist. So that was part one of me just breaking down how I feel about race in Spain. So this was primarily just talking about dealing with the police and the issues like that. So if there's something you want me to focus on in the second part where I talk about race, being a black person here in Spain, then go ahead, leave me some comments. Or if you hated this video and you think I'm wrong, you think, America isn't racist and Spain is racist, then please, let me know that below and I will address your question in the second part. All right, stay tuned, hit that like button on the way out, and I'll be back at you.